Hello, this is Zero30, the only daily roundup of the day's arts and entertainment news on British television. These are the headlining stories. The good news is it's finally open. The bad news is it's rubbish, with special Phantom Menace reports from both sides of America, and we get the latest live from Los Angeles. British film hits the lottery jackpot as Chris Smith pledges $145 million to help finance more Full Monty's, Elizabeth's and Shakespeare's in Love. And true theatrical Viagra, the show that mixes circus with sex, trenches the audience and has won rave reviews from Madonna and DiCaprio. Hello, welcome to Zero30. Thanks for joining me. The Force is finally with us, or at least it is for American Star Wars fans, and total fanatics have flown out there to catch one of the very first screenings of the much-hyped Phantom Menace. Now, the film was shown for the very first time at 1 minute past midnight. That was about 18 hours ago in New York. The reaction so far has been mixed, with even die-hard fans admitting it's not as good as they'd hoped for. Stay with me for a special final episode of our countdown to Star Wars. Yes, well, one overexcited fanatic who has made the trip stateside for the very first screening is our man in Los Angeles, Lizo Mzimba. There he is live. We'll come to the sunglasses in just a moment. Lizo's been following all the build-up to the big movie, and we'll be getting his instant review live from Los Angeles in just a moment or two. I'm also joined here in the studio in London by our regular showbiz pundit, Radio 1's entertainment journalist, Steve McKenna. Lizo, first of all, was it worth the airfare? A bit wasted, wasn't it? Because it wasn't very good.
Absolutely. Oh, no, absolutely. Come on, it's Los Angeles, the sun's shining, there's a new Star Wars movie out. If that's not a reason to wear sunglasses, I don't know what is. I mean, it is not a terrible, terrible film. It's all right. It's a Star Wars movie. It's got great special effects. It's got familiar characters bobbing in and out. So definitely worth the airfare to come over, although, you know, it's not the greatest Star Wars film we've ever seen.
But to hit a serious note for a moment, all right isn't good enough. This is supposed to be the best of the best, and it hasn't been.
Well, I'm not sure I completely agree with that. I mean, it's got a lot going for it. It's really setting up the story for episode 2. A lot of fans are going to be disappointed, but inevitably with this movie, a lot of people are going to be disappointed. You could have shown them something with Gone with the Wind crossed with Citizen Kane, and people would have been disappointed. Some people like it, some people don't. It's pitched very, very young. George Lucas has made a very children-friendly film. The computer-generated character Jar Jar Binks is obviously really aimed at them. So, as I say, the special effects are fantastic to look at. We'd like a little more depth in the story, but, you know, you can't please everybody. But, you know, I will admit, it is a slight disappointment to me personally as a Star Wars fan, but it's not quite aimed at me. It's aimed at very young children who I think will genuinely love it.
OK, we'll come back to the Fonz with more analysis of Star Wars in just a moment. We have two special reports from both the east and west coast of America. Conrad Evans has been looking at how it's gone down in New York, but we start with Lizo's report from the first screening at Mann's Chinese Theatre, where else, of course, in downtown Los Angeles.
Six months ago, fans queued up just to watch the 2-minute trailer. For the last 6 weeks, they've been lining up outside cinemas across America. And now at last, the event which they've been waiting for, the release of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, has finally arrived. The Star Wars fans, and that's an awful lot of people of all ages, today's like Christmas Day and their birthdays rolled into one. And it's such a special occasion, we've even had special T-shirts made, so they can celebrate the very special film they'll be seeing in just a few hours' time. And at last, the waiting is finally over. In just a few minutes, they'll be watching the first showing of Star Wars Episode 1. Many of America's film critics have said the movie's a disappointment and not as good as the other Star Wars films. But the real test is whether the fans like it and whether people will pay to go and see it.
The film will make its money, but it's not the greatest. It's certainly not Empire. It's better than Jedi, and Jar Jar messes everything up. What's wrong with it is too many characters, so little development on the characters.
Come from England, from Herefordshire, it was brilliant. The fights, the scenes, the battles, everything. It was just amazing. It's just lost for words.
So tell us, was it worth it?
Oh yeah, everybody back in England, come over now. Fly over, come tomorrow. You've got to see this movie, it rocks.
Fans have got a few years to wait now before episode 2, but in the meantime, it looks like many of them will be going to see episode 1 a few more times. Lizo, Mzimba, Zero30, Los Angeles.
In New York, the new Star Wars film attracted the fans and the fanatics, but the force wasn't as strong as in LA. Yoda came along, the trusty old lightsaber came in handy for this Jedi Knight, and some people were, well, just a menace. The Big Apple has its core of loyal Star Wars fans, but there's a dark side to the launch of the blockbuster here. Some of the New York press have slated it, with one critic going as far as saying that it's crap, quite literally. Conjures up a novel image to the Phantom Menace anyway. But no matter how good or bad, some people were going to love it.
I thought the movie was great. It lived up to his expectations times 1,000. I'm not disappointed. I'm already planning when I'm going to go see it again.
Media is just waiting for people to come out of the movie and say that it wasn't a good movie, but it's not going to happen. It was an excellent movie. It started strong, very strong, and stayed all the way through. It's a great film.
But there were some rebel forces in the camp.
I was very excited for the movie, but it turns out to be a big disappointment. I had heard that beforehand, and I didn't believe it, but it was.
But for some fans, the Phantom Menace had, well, a deeper meaning.
Because of Yoda makes it great, because he's very deep, he's got a certain philosophy of good versus evil, and that's what makes it great, you know?
It's possible he could have been under Yoda's influence, of course, but the latest Star Wars has given some people the outlet they've been needing.
May the Force be with you.
Let's go back to our very own little Darth Maul in Los Angeles. Lizo Mzimba is there. I mean, let's put this in context. Before the film, everyone was hyping it. People are actually coming out and saying phrases like it's a big disappointment, and it's basically crap. I mean, this is a staggering story for George Lucas, isn't it?
Well, no, not really. I mean, he's more interested in, you know, the fans going to go and pay the money to see it. And so many people, you know, everyone's going to go and see, you know, this film to see for themselves. It's kind of critic-proof and audience-proof. They're going to go and see to make their minds up for themselves. Yeah, I'm sure he is disappointed that it hasn't had, you know, absolutely rave reviews across the board, or, you know, hasn't even had, you know, what you can call mixed reviews. It's been mostly negative. But the original Star Wars didn't have brilliant reviews across the board either. So I think he's really gearing himself up for episode 2. He knows this film's going to make its money back. And he hopefully will win all the fans back, you know, with episode 2 that have been disappointed with this.
Just
so,
briefly, Lizo, do you think he made the wrong film? This, of course, came out in the late 70s, and the people who have grown up with it probably expected something a little more adult. Do you think he should have catered to them more?
Well, perhaps. I mean, he's trying to build Star Wars fans for a new generation. You know, people like me that saw Star Wars when we were 6 or 7, we've grown up with it, as you say. But I think he wants to say, well, there'll always be Star Wars fans, no matter what kind of films I make. I want to get a new generation of very young children into, like, love Star Wars for the next 20 years. And perhaps that's a shrewd move on his part. Time will tell.
Lizo, stay with us just very briefly. Steve, your take on this. You've had enough of this already. You haven't even seen it.
I want to organise a complete boycott of this film in the UK. I've had way too much of it, and I'm very annoyed that it's taking so long to come here, that we've got to live through the hype. How are they going to maintain the hype until it gets here? It's months
away. Programmes like us, I mean, our countdown will continue for the next 3 years.
No, but I mean, I find it quite ridiculous. I was just looking through something just before we came on air. Do you realise that it's going to Bolivia, Guatemala, Honduras, Thailand, Brazil, Chile, South Africa, South Korea, Taiwan, Philippines, Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Hong Kong, Costa Rica, Mexico, Uruguay, Trinidad and Tobago, before it gets to the UK? George Lucas, what are you doing? You're cashing in.
Well, let's ask Lizo that, because he is basically his PA for George Lucas. You are such a fan. Why is it taking so long to come to this country, and do you not think it will have an adverse effect, because we are already quite bored of it?
Yeah, I think it's a very bad move making it take so long to come to this country. With the nature of the, you know, of the global village, the internet, people know everything in the UK as soon as it happens in America. So basically, they're going to spend the next 2 months knowing everything about that movie and not being able to see it. It is a mistake, but he wanted it to come to England first in Europe, and he's having a big royal premiere. So I think, you know, I think they should have moved it forward and had it a few weeks after America. And I don't think he'll do himself any favours by doing that, holding it back for England for so long.
OK, Lizo Mzimba reporting live from, obviously, a very, very sunny Los Angeles. Thank you for joining us. Steve staying with us. In our other long-running soap story, we're off to Cannes. The main news...